just about to get started here. I'm sure one of the most exciting things on the internet right now to watch is our Roswell City Council Infrastructure Committee meeting. And it is 4 o'clock. We're going to call this meeting to order. Could I get a roll call, please?
Councilor Roebuck.
Here.
Councilor Kinnard.
Here.
Councilor Peterson.
Here.
Councilor Sanchez.
Yes.
Great. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda in the minutes, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda and the minutes from last meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. As you can see, Lewis is a slave driver. He doesn't care what's going on in the world. He's got a lot of work for us to do. So,
There is, even for Christmas, bah humbug.
yeah, that's right. So I blame this agenda fully on Lewis. So thanks for being here, Lewis, and you can take it away.
Mr. Chairman and committee, our first item will be smart meter project closeout presentation, as that project is now complete, and one of the requirements is that there is a presentation. Also, Juan Fuentes is here to answer any questions on the city side if you have for this item. But I'd like to introduce Colby Greer, who's the president for YEAROUT Energy, and he should take it from here. Colby, go ahead.
Yes, can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, guys. Thank you so much for having us. Like Louis said, my name is Colby Gear, and I'm with YEAROUT Energy Services Company. Now, before we get into this, I'd like to start off by saying thank you to Luis and his team and Juan and his team for helping us and working through this project. We could not have done it without you guys. So today I'm going to try to keep it quick. I see you guys have a full agenda. So I will keep this hopefully under 10 minutes and then leave some time for questions or comments if there is any at the end. But real quick, I'd like to start out with history of the project and then move into things that we learned as we developed the project, implemented the project, go over a quick summary of the scope, and then close out with where the status is today. So like I said, I'll do my best to keep it short. So moving into that slide, perfect. How was this project funded? This project came about in about 2016, early 2017, and really what we were looking to do in conjunction with the city was figure out how to implement a new water metering system with advanced leak detection and advanced metering infrastructure data collection system for the city. We worked to understand the financial requirements of the project, and really what we were looking to do was enable an entire system replacement that also benefited the city through better accuracy of meters, resulting in an uptick in revenue for the same water consumption. Next slide. So the process we followed to develop this project is one that has been followed through multiple projects within the state of New Mexico. And the whole thing is overseen by Energy, Minerals, Natural Resources Department and the Office of the State Engineer. So basically where we started out in this long process was a preliminary feasibility assessment to determine what the distribution system looked like for the city of Roswell. Once we presented that out, it was determined that there was a mutual consensus to look at a project scope to include water meters and an AMI infrastructure. With that, we executed what we call an investment grade audit agreement with the city of Roswell, and that really allowed us to enable our engineers to start researching and auditing the existing meter infrastructure that was within the city, and to test those meters for accuracy, develop a scope of work, and select subcontractors, vendors, material suppliers, and technology that the city most wanted within their distribution network. So once that audit was complete, we presented that out, got the approval by you guys in the city. It went over to the Office of the State Engineer for approval of the investment grade audit. We worked through the construction contract, executed that, worked with RBC Capital Markets and your financial advisor to secure project funding, and then implemented the project. And now we're moving into the performance period or measurement and verification to determine the success of the project. Next slide. So at a really high level, what we wanted to show and what we showed in the project was that in 2014 and 2015, we baselined your consumption and your produced water, and that baselined out at about 3.7 to 4 million kgals annually. What the city was metering at the time was about 2.6 to 2.9 million kgals for a total water loss resulting in 29% through the distribution system. Next slide. So as we worked through that, we determined that the meter inaccuracy accounted for a significant amount of your total water loss. And in putting in meters that read much more accurately, that the uptick in revenue for the city would be $816,000 for water and $345,000 for sewer, totaling about $1.1 million in additional revenue for the city to use to pay down the note. In addition to that, there was an estimated $536,000 of operations and maintenance savings, and this is all in year one. And basically that operations and maintenance savings comes from vehicles, remote disconnect, turn on, turn off of water, and the time that it takes to read the meters. So the total savings in year one was estimated to be at $1.698 million. Next slide. The system so $1.698 million, and the project that we determined in working closely with the city and the engineering staff there was that the CAMSTRUP option, that's the CAMSTRUP water meter with a Itron reading technology, was best suited to accomplish this work. We had multiple RFPs and interviews that we went through to select the best vendor for this project, and as well as the best AMI technology. And after probably 5 or 10 meetings total in vetting these different suppliers out, we determined with you guys that CAMSTRUP Itron was the best technology. So, and put a price tag to that at $19.8 million. And basically, as you can see there, the project cost was 19.8 with a total savings of 1.7 for a simple payback of 11.7 years on your investment. If you can go to the next slide, that basically summarizes what I said in so many words. It just kind of shows the different stacks of capital and how it pays out. But water and sewer recovery at $1.1 million, operations and maintenance savings at $536 for a total of 1.7. Project cost at 19.8 for a simple payback of 11.7 years with the revenue generated through just accuracy of meters. Next slide. So the benefits to the city, there's many of them, and I'll just hit on a couple of these here. But basically, the top 5 benefits for you guys is obviously increased meter accuracy, resulting in higher revenue for the city. It's hard to bill for what you can't account for. And that's really the old meters that were in the ground prior to the project were very old mechanical style meters that were moving very slowly, and some of them were moving. And so this really allows you to have really good data as far as what is going through your system and what is being consumed by the end user. In addition to that, the installation of the AMI system, the automated meter infrastructure system, which is basically how the information flows from the meter back to your billing software, enables the city to provide near real-time data for entire meter inventory, including continuous data collection, report of tampering, leakage reporting, all that sort of stuff is available now through the front end. The system also has the ability to be shut off remotely for all 3/4-inch meters. So basically every residential meter within the city's infrastructure has a virtual remote disconnect valve, which allows the water to stop or be turned off with the push of a button. The AMI meter also gives the city's water department very clear data on when water is used, how it's used. You can trend usage data, delivery cost, and obviously replacing all of the old infrastructure saves significant cost for the near term in replacing those same meters with new meters. Next slide. So as I said, the project scope started with the audit. And that's where our engineering team came in and tested a statistical sample of meters to determine what the overall inaccuracy of the system was. Through that audit, we were able to determine the non-revenue water loss by each size of meter and what that resulted in as far as revenue loss through the entire distribution network. From there, we reviewed historic consumption patterns, and as I said, we sat with the city through multiple vendor and RFP presentations to determine the best solution for this retrofit. And so basically on that table out to the right, it's probably hard to read in there. I know it is on my computer screen, so I can imagine in there, but basically there was 15,424 3/4-inch meters that were replaced with a Camstrup ultrasonic meter. In addition to that, on that 15,400 meters, we also had a remote disconnect valve by a company called SET that was installed in conjunction with that 15,400 meters. You can see the meter populations for the rest of the city from 1 inch all the way through the 8-inch meter that was replaced. And you'll notice everything above the 2-inch meter is replaced with a Elster Q4 electromagnetic meter for your commercial meters. So that was one piece of the scope, was to go in, vacuum out all the pits, clean all the pits, repair pits where necessary and where needed, replace the meter that was in the ground, install what they call an endpoint or an ERT that would transmit data from the meter out to a collection system, which is manufactured and the software is produced by a company called Itron. And that's who you guys have in the field now. In addition to the meter, they also installed roughly 21 fixed-base collectors across your city to receive that information and then shoot that information out to a front end that then talks and shares data back and forth with your billing software. So all of that integration had to be done. And then obviously test and review system as delivered to close out the project scope. Next slide. This is always the fun part, but be remiss if we didn't talk about project challenges and what we learned through this in conjunction with you guys. There's a couple challenges on this project, and the first was that it was the first implementation for the reading infrastructure coming out by Itron. It was state-of-the-art and is still state-of-the-art. It's a really, really robust backbone for including additional city facilities and data management onto that platform. But because it was the first and it was early, of course, there was some complications with that. Confirming the integration with the billing software, a lot of that code and a lot of that description of how the information would flow from the Itron system into your billing system and then ultimately down to the customer had to be worked out. And then the other big thing was pushing and pulling information from that same infrastructure. Typically, that infrastructure just receives information. It receives how many gallons or how many kgals have gone through this meter, and it reports that out every 4 to 8 hours, give or take. But because of the remote disconnect valves, there was a big push to have that communication go two ways, from the infrastructure to the meter and the shutoff valve, and then also back to the infrastructure. So working through that. And then I would say the other big challenge was a full deployment of remote disconnect valves on all residential meters. It was one of the first times that we had seen that done to the level that it was done in Roswell at 15,000 meters. So obviously with that, there's additional technological integration and data management that had to go in place with that as well. Next slide. So project status, where are we at today? The implementation, give or take, has been complete in September or October of last year. We have been, and the city has been working with Itron to continue to maintain and operate the reading system, work out bugs, and continue to work on the read rates and understanding where the meters, what meters may not be being heard. Is it a systemic problem or not? Working through a lot of those, the one-off commissioning type efforts. It was roughly a 24-month implementation from when the propagation, that's a weird word there, but basically propagation is determining how many collectors needed to be set inside your city to properly hear the meters, and ordering of the equipment. I can remember It's when some hurricanes were hitting the Gulf Coast, and we had ships with meters sitting off the Gulf Coast for months before they were able to be received. So, that's the fun of doing these types of jobs, and world economies come into play sometimes. So, it's interesting to see that was 24 months ago, but that's kind of where we're at. And currently, we are continuing to work with the city. We have bi-weekly and monthly conference calls with the city to discuss status, issues that they may have, ongoing monitoring and support. We have a person inside our office who is receiving information from your staff currently and has just started receiving some information for year one. So we're working through tabulating that and working through to make sure that the project is a success moving forward. So that's basically where we're at now. All the construction is complete and it's in system maintenance now, just like most softwares that you have. There's a lot of maintenance that goes into it, and that's kind of the process that we're working through. So with that, I would open it up to any questions or comments, or be glad to give you guys back the rest of your time.
Any questions from the committee for the gentleman? No, I appreciate certainly all the efforts and works. I know that I think 3 of 4 of us were not on the council when this whole thing went down, so, or at least when I should say when it started and it got approved and happened. So, I know it's had its rough patches, but hopefully we're come out on the other side of it and we come out in a better place. Do you have anything you want to add, Louis?
No, the only thing I want to, remind everybody is when they did the study, you saw how much money we were losing by not getting billed. And a lot of people were complaining, the citizens were complaining that their bills did go higher. Well, obviously, if the meters weren't working correctly, but the one thing that the city didn't do, we didn't go back and try to go retroactive
Sure.
on the billing. So if you think about all the money that we were losing and we just kept moved forward, and like Kobe said, this was a big project, one of the first in the state. They're using this project nationwide, worldwide as an example. I do want to give thanks to Lorenzo Sanchez. He was part of this. Roger Buckley, who's retired. Kevin Dillon, who's moved on. Sylvia Casares has moved on. So a lot of people, Jesus has it now, Talamantes, but this was a big project,
Yeah.
and it has its pain, but anything big and a $20 million project, yeah, it's going to have some hiccups. Kobe, thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate that, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for your support. Like Louis said, it did have its pain, and anytime you have a job that has roughly 50,000 customers, the pain is magnified a little bit. So thank you guys for working with us. We truly appreciate it. And like Louis said, it is a poster child project that has been used not by name but by scope for many discussions and presentations on how to run a water division. And so we thank you guys for that.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Item 3, project update discussion.
Okay, Mr. Chairman and committee, in your packet you have the typical project update. The pictures that you have there, we're doing the large valve replacement. We're replacing the 242-inch valves, 136-inch valve, 224-inch valves at 3rd in Wyoming. We shut that down last week. We want you to know that we will be working through the weekend. The crew and my inspector on that job, Butch, will have 1 day off for Turkey Day, and that was it. But when you shut down a line that big or 2 lines that big, you have to go in there and do your work and get it back out. Otherwise, Lorenzo starts having problems when the pressure starts building up. So that's the highlight right now. Due to weather and waiting on hot mix, we can't open up the west gate of the cemetery till next week. But the cemetery is open with the east gate, and I stand for any questions on any of the projects.
Yeah, question on the valve project. Would that have any effect on any levels of water pressure anywhere in the city right now?
It will have some levels of water pressure, but when we opened up the stuff over there at South Main, it helps alleviate it. But we
Sure.
do have a loop system,
Sure.
water maintenance, transmission, and central control. They are monitoring the pressures.
Sure.
and they can do simple stuff like turn on an extra water well
Sure.
or turn off an extra water well if the pressure's too high. Because when you try to balance the system, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lorenzo, that sometimes you get parts of town that are higher pressures than normal and some pressures that are lower than normal, but
But
the-
if people are experiencing a slightly abnormal pressure, if they wait a couple weeks till this project's done, it should normalize.
yes, sir.
That's what, as we talk to people, and I've heard a couple of people say that they.
Yeah, the east side, well, we had temporary services for Bethany Anderson Funeral Home. They were being served from a block away, but that's been taken care of. Then Sparklight Cable was another big customer that was also fed by temporary service, but that line's back up. And I did receive some phone calls, complaints from the old Chisholm School in that area, but those have gone away. But every project does has its impact, whether it's the water, it impacts your pressure, or if it's traffic, it impacts the traffic.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the committee? No? Okay, thank you. Next item, item 4, keep Roswell Beautiful benches.
Okay, items number 4, number 5 will be Juanita, and item number 6 will be Becky.
Come on, Juanita. Oh, my goodness, oh, my goodness. How are
All
you
right.
today?
Hi, good evening or good afternoon, counselors. This item, number 4, there's 2 items. The first one is a grant that we received from Keep Roswell Beautiful. Our program coordinator, Thalia Pantoja, Greece, applied for funding for a recycling project. And unfortunately, due to some of the changes that we are having with recycling, we asked for a budget adjustment to purchase recycling benches as part of the Main Street project that you're going to see on the next item. The 2 benches that are available, they are made from recycled bottle caps. They will be picked up and brought to Roswell by the Main Street group, and we will pay about $1,100 as part of the project. You can see the green bench in that picture is what they will look like. And thanks to Louis Nahar and Jim Burris, we've identified 2 locations at the Cahoon Park where these will be placed, which will be around the Spaceport Park is what it's called. It's the walking trail. There's no bench areas there for parents or grandparents to sit and watch their children play. So the 2 benches we would like to put in that location.
Is that you're talking about the playground that's as you come out of the river off the trail? Oh, Cielo Grande. Thank you.
Yes. And I'll stand for any questions.
Counselors, any questions? No? That sounds good. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. And then the next one is the Main Street benches. So as they ask the community to turn in their bottle caps, they have enough money to purchase a total of 10 benches, but wanted me to inform you that they've selected approximately 16 different locations in the downtown district where they would like to put those benches. They're the same benches that you saw on the previous slide. The only difference of the Main Street benches is that they will be gray. You can see the different locations along Main Street in the order of the area where they would like to put them of priority. And again, I will stand for any questions. The benches will be donated to the city of Roswell, and then the benches will also be sponsored. They will get sponsors to sponsor a bench, and they'll put a little plaque on each one. But I'll stand for any questions.
Questions? As far as the locations and all this, is this something that goes through engineering as far as the placement of these? No? Who actually puts them out?
For our benches, we will work with our Parks and Engineering Department for install to look at the site, and then for Main Street, they have hired a company to actually install them.
Okay. So, because as I'm looking down Main Street here, you know, just I know that there are some places in Main Street that have very limited sidewalk space. And I just want to make sure somebody at the city had at least checked this off in engineering or in planning or somewhere over there. So again, I think it's a great project. We want to move forward with it. I just want to make sure that we don't accidentally create a problem like putting a bench somewhere where there's not really room or space for it. So that's my only concern, but otherwise, I think.
Would you be willing
we
to
could
look
use
at
some-
this? Okay,
some
thank you.
language. Yeah, we just, that would be great. So,
Wonderful.
Great. Any other questions? If not, we'll move on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Anita. And we're moving on to regular action items. Item number 6, purchase of a landfill compactor. I'm sure it's not cheap.
No, it is not. Good afternoon, counselors. The landfill department and I would like to request funding for a compactor. That's roughly the picture of it. We have some funding options. We can take out a loan, or we can take it out of the beginning fund balance. What has happened is we have 2 compactors already. One of them is a light-duty compactor, and one of them is a heavy-duty compactor. It doesn't weigh quite as much as this one. I think it's about 20,000 pounds less. But the one that's our heavy-duty one that we usually use every day has broken down, and it requires a repair that's going to cost about $35,000. The problem is we've been putting a lot of money into that unit, and it was scheduled to be replaced in fiscal year '21, but due to the fact that I was put as fleet manager so late in the year, and also Abraham was put as the landfill director so late, we didn't get that into the budget. So what we're asking for is a budget amendment allowing us to purchase this compactor. And I would stand for any questions.
Thank you. So the one we're replacing was was originally purchased in 1998. Am I looking at that correct?
Well, we have one that's a 1998 that was refurbished in 2018, and it cost over.
That's the light duty one.
That's the light-duty one.
So our current heavy duty one, how long have we had it? And when did we get it?
It was a 2011.
2011. So
But they're only
About-
going to be 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I assume that this will come out of the enterprise fund as far as the money
Correct.
for this. It's not going to be just
Or a loan. We're
Or-
looking at a possibility of a loan.
or a loan. And if it's a loan, then it'll get paid back from the enterprise fund.
Correct.
I think it's always important for people to know, obviously our finances are very complex in the city, and it's important to know that the services like waste, water are paid by the fees for those services, and any of these major expenses, this is not competing with roads or with parks.
No,
or
not at all.
any of that kind of thing, so I just want to make sure that was clear. And what action did you need us to take on this today?
I need you to approve the purchase of it. I'm going to finance to get the finances
Okay.
for
So
it.
we're just approving the purchase. So like, this is the right thing to buy. So, more or less for the infrastructure. Okay, so let me throw it out to the counselors. Counselor Peterson?
Well, I think they should have bought a Caterpillar in the first place. Of course, that's quite a few years ago, but I never heard of Eljon.
Well, Eljon, this particular unit, they're not even making any longer.
And I don't know if you could answer this, but is the light-duty compactor, is that one being used currently, or?
Right now, because the Eljon is broke down, the light-duty one is being used, and the problem with that is it's not compacting at the rate that the heavy-duty one was compacting. So cell number 4 is filling up faster than it should be.
Okay, thank you.
How long will it take for you guys to get this thing?
Well, when we started the process, there were 4 already built, ready to be picked up, but now they're down to 1. So
Okay.
I don't know if that one will still be there when we're ready to buy it or not.
Sure. Where did they come from?
This one is from Wagner Cat in Albuquerque.
Oh, in Albuquerque, okay. Not far. Okay, great. If there's no further discussion on the matter, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve a new Caterpillar Model 836K from Wagner Caterpillar.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your consideration.
Now we're on to regular item number 7, BHI agreement, inclusive park design. Mr. Nahar.
Mr. Chairman and committee, asking you to consider recommendation to approve professional services agreement in the amount of $162,828.28 for design of an inclusive park in Cielo Grande to BHI of Albuquerque, New Mexico. As you know, we got the grant for the inclusive park. We want to hire BHI to be our designer. And that's why I'm here. Stand for any questions.
Questions from the committee? Have we worked with this contractor before?
Yes, we have. The last project that we did with them was the Country Club traffic signal. And the reason I've chosen BHI, they have a community development department that specializes in parks and this kind of stuff. As you know, we have the on-call services. We also have another agreement, but just trying to keep the spread the wealth, and we have done well with these guys.
Sure.
They would do the design. Hopefully, we'd have it done in the spring, and then we would bid for the construction of the inclusive park.
On the design process, is there a phase, or if there were people who wanted from the community to have input? How
We
does that
will,
work?
as part of the project design, Mr. Chairman, we will ask like the Horizon Group. We will have Parks Department in there, so we will incorporate users. And we will have, one of the first meetings will be to, invite the users and get ideas from them. If that's what you're asking.
That is, and certainly, I assume anybody, you're okay with anybody, any of our citizens have an interest to contact you?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
okay.
we will be advertising when we have the meetings for that.
Okay.
But my goal is, we got the designer. BHI is a very qualified firm. And I know that at the presentation that you saw from Mr. Morris, that there was also possibly construction of a road. My gut tells me, let's build something the best we can for the park. We already have an access, we already have a parking lot, so let's focus the money on the park and give the users the best that we can with the money that we got.
Great. Any other discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend the approval of the service agreement between BHI to the December 10th, 2020 City Council meeting. Is that for consent or?
Consent is eligible.
Okay,
Yes.
to consent.
Does anybody have any objections for consent? If not, then that's fine to consent. Okay, if there's no other discussion, all those in favor, say aye. Oh, I'm sorry, can I get a second on that? We have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So on number 6, we did not send that to consent, but that'll be a fun one to talk about.
Well, that went to the Finance Committee.
Oh, it's on the
Finance Committee.
Yep, so we don't, that's right.
Yes, sir.
Darn, I thought we'd get to talk about the big tractor again. My kids always like it when we talk about tractors.
You guys will see it again in finance.
Yeah, I'll get it again in finance, that's true. Okay, so that number 7 passes, thank you. We're on to regular item number 8, HDR agreement, dewatering facility design. Mr. Nahar.
Mr. Chairman, committee, we've been talking about the dewatering facilities for a year or so. When we put in the application, got qualified, and et cetera, et cetera. Now we advertised, this was just federal money. We had to advertise for a separate RFP for the federal money. HDR was selected, and what you have in front of you is their proposal for consider recommendation to approve professional services in the amount of $412,399.83 for design of a water waste treatment plant dewatering facility to HDR Incorporated of Albuquerque. The slide you see is a multiple screw pump dewatering facility. We'll only be building a double, but you got to have a building and all the plumbing that takes it in and all the plumbing that takes out the treated material. We're utilizing a $5.5 million loan, which is also part of the next item, a federal Clean Water Act loan. This is clean water, we're cleaning water. So this is all part of the loan, $5.5 million. It's reimbursable, so we'll pay for this services and get reimbursed as part of the loan process. And I stand for further questions. And this is also eligible for consent.
And when you say reimbursable, you mean forgivable, like the forgivable?
No, it's not a forgiveness.
It's a reimbursable loan.
It's a reimbursement. On this project, there's only $400,000 forgiveness.
Okay. So what do you mean by reimbursable?
We have to pay for the cost up front, and then we submit a reimbursement and we get that back.
And we get the loan.
Yeah, and that's
And then we have to pay the loan.
Then we have to pay the loan.
Okay, that's what I thought you were saying, but I just wanted to make sure.
No, and
it
that's,
wasn't
no,
better
the
to-
very good questions.
Yeah.
That's how the process works. People think loan, I mean, it's a very cheap rate, or we're going to a cheaper rate, but we have to, most of the stuff that we do is we have to pay for it up front and get reimbursed, even if it's a grant.
Right. And I just, again, because I know we've touched this over the, I know this has been a long time in process, but just the loan will get paid with by fees from.
This will be paid out of the water and sewer enterprise funds.
Yeah. And this is replacing current fields where we dump the water and stuff out.
Yes, we have, I think, 10 drying beds,
Drying beds, that was the worst.
and they work good in a hot summer, but they don't work good in a wet summer or when it's cold and it takes forever to dry.
Right.
And the production of the wastewater treatment plant goes up, and as the population goes up,
Sure.
the product goes up.
Yes. Okay, great. Any questions from the committee? Councilor Peterson?
Thank you. I just, down in Artesia, they had a problem with drains. They built different projects, and just make sure you check these guys and make sure they put a drain in. Thank you.
A drain in the building?
On the building.
Okay, 10-4. Lorenzo and I will double check that when we start reviewing plans, and Juan as well. Juan will be part of the design team.
Great. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve professional services agreement, the wastewater treatment plant dewatering facility to HDR Incorporated of Albuquerque, New Mexico, to be put on the consent agenda for the next city council meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Related, number 9, ordinance 20XX, clean water loan interest adjustment. Mr. Nahar.
Mr. Chairman and committee, bring to you consider approval to advertise for a public hearing and vote on proposed ordinance 20-XX recommending lowering interest rate for New Mexico ED Clean Water Revolving Fund number 97 from 1.2 to 0.5% interest. Just to give you a little bit of background, again, we've been working on this loan for quite some time. We have not drawn down any money, so we really haven't entered into the final execution of the contract. It came to my attention that the interest had gone down. I asked if the interest could go down with this agreement. They said yes, so that's what we're doing now. If you just do a simple loan for using 20-year time frame, we could pay interest of 1.3 and change. At 0.5 is 550,000, so this will be a savings of 770,000 in interest. Since it is an ordinance, it cannot go to consent. It has to go to full council. We advertise in December, then you'll have the public hearing in January, and I stand for any questions.
Any questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend for advertising proposed ordinance 20-XX at December 10th, 2020 council meeting.
I have a motion and a second. And just again, for clarification, we already have a loan. We're just getting a better interest rate at this point.
We already have the loan interim agreement.
Yeah.
We don't do the final loan agreements till we start drawing money.
But the council has already approved the loan.
Yes.
Yes.
That was ordinance 19 something, which is a part of your packet.
So, and this is just staff doing due diligence, saving us a little money here and there.
Yes, sir, but we do have to have an ordinance to
Right. Great.
go through the political process.
I just wanted to make sure that that was clear, that the city council has already approved the funding for this project.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. With that, if there's no other further comment, I'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We're on item number 10, FY 21 payment maintenance POs. Dustrol, Inc.
Mr. Chairman, committee, items number 10, 11, and 12 are basically the same thing, different vendors, but it's part of our pavement maintenance program. Could you turn to page 64 in your packet?
$64.
64. I'm just going to do a quick summary just so.
Great.
And just to give you a background, every year, the street department and I, we come up with a list of what we would like to see done. You've got my working notes. We had a list in March. COVID hit, budget reductions, et cetera, et cetera. So basically what we're coming to you is we want 3 POs issued. So instead of a $4 million program, we're going to have a basically $1.8 million program. Dustrol is their hot recycle guy. You've seen the machine. They go and they heat it, and they scarify it, and they put it down in place. No new material. We just add a little emulsion so it binds it together. The IPR microsurfacing is the coat that goes over it. You probably saw this. The more familiar one is Country Club between Garden and Main. In IPR, we also use to microsurface the residential streets, but due to budget, there is no residential streets being touched. And you can see in my list, in my working notes, what's getting postponed. Hopefully, if we get these done, those that got postponed, they're at the first of the list for next year. And then Brasier is the Nova chip. And what we're doing there, you've all driven North Main between College and Country Club, where all that drainage and water that builds up is tearing it up. So we'll do a Nova chip on those. So again, 3 POs for pavement maintenance. If you remember the payment condition list, we've took some of those streets, and pavement had 3 levels of recommended levels, $16 million a year for the best level, $10 million to just to be so-so, and $5 million just to keep up with what you're doing now, which is losing ground. We're doing $1.8 million. So that's the process. And what you have on items 10, 11, and 12 are just to go with the vendors. So item number 10 is for Dustrol, and the amount of $699,706.77 using the statewide price agreement. And I am requesting approval, and this can go to consent.
Great. Louis, I appreciate your work. I know that we're going to have to do a lot more work to get caught up on this. We're going to keep fighting for that, and it's just going to take a little more
appreciate
time for
it.
us to get it figured out. But I appreciate you guys keeping us informed on this. So I had a question tangentially related to all this, and I won't call it the street, but so when there are businesses that overwater and that water goes into the street, what remedies does the city have, or does the city take any action on that? Do we have send nice letters? Do we send mean letters? Do we do anything at all?
Well, and some of those streets are country club. Some of those streets are downtown around the post office. What happens, I can call Lorenzo. He can go talk to the customers, can call code enforcement. But we do have an ordinance that says you're not supposed to water the streets. And every time I go through puddles, as city engineer, I know it's just growing potholes.
There are certainly a couple of places that are habitual problem spots that I've seen the city come out and repair several times, and it's overwatered on a regular basis year round. And so I just was wondering what obviously we like to use carrot before we have to use stick. But I'm wondering, is that
By
something-
ordinance, we can get a hold of code enforcement. We have one of the city managers here,
Sure.
Mr. Fuentes. But if you'll let me know or do it on the fix-it form, of course, I'll notify Lorenzo. We'll notify code enforcement. And the ordinance is there. We can, they are a nuisance. They
Right.
are a hazard. We can cite them. We can do some other
But
things.
that is costing the city money, correct, when they overwater like that?
Absolutely.
Because it's speeding up
Absolutely.
the,
Let's just
speeding
take
up
an
the damage.
intersection, and I'm calling out the post office area. Beautiful lawns, and they overwater, but what does it do? It creates potholes, and look what it does to my crosswalk stripe.
So,
There's other things. I mean, it wipes out the paint.
all right. Okay. Sorry to take that tangent there.
No, that's a good thing, and one of my pet peeves is people watering. I call it watering the street and growing potholes.
It's something that we should all do. If we all do a little bit better, be better about that to help control the cost as we try to catch up with this. I think that would be something good. So, back though to the item. So we're on item number 10. Any more questions on item number 10? If not, I'm going to do it. We're going to do a vote on item 10. Then I guess you're going to give us the prices for each one, and then we'll do.
Yes, I have to do an
votes.
individual vote.
And these can't go to consent. So I will entertain a motion on item number 10.
I make a motion to send out-in-place recycling of asphalt payments to Dustrol Incorporated be put on the consent agenda for the next council meeting.
Second.
Have a motion, a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11.
Mr. Chairman, turn to page 70 on your packet. That's where item number 11 starts. Consider recommendation to approve microsurfacing to IPR Limited in the amount of $478,320.23. This to be done utilizing a state price agreement. Again, same thing. If you could send this to, I would recommend consent agenda.
Any discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to send to the consent agenda microservicing to IPR LTD to the next city council meeting.
Second.
If there's no further discussion, I'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, now we're on item number 12. same basic topic. Mr. Nahar?
Mr. Chairman Committee, page 80, consider recommendation to approve plant mix wearing course overlay, AKA Nova Chip, that's what we call it in the business, to Brasier Asphalt in the amount of $629,738.82, also by a statewide price agreement. The Nova Chip is what we just did on Southeast Main. It was the final course on South Main as you go to the base, so it's a very good product, a little pricey, but pavement maintenance is. Nice. Again, send it to consent agenda is my recommendation.
Any discussion on item number 12? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to send to consent agenda for Brasier Asphalt Incorporated, the next city council meeting.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? A motion passes. Now we're on to other business, non-action items, department reports, and
If you look on the screen, we have a new piece of equipment. And I'm sure Becky's happy to see another one of these. Of course, $97,000. I guarantee within 3 years we'll be asking for this one to be replaced. Unfortunately, these, we need them. We have 3 of them. We try to keep 3 of them running. And I know Becky and her staff, and they try hard to keep them running, but they're only good for about 3 years, and then we'll be back. But we have a new broom bearer on the job. And in your department reports, I stand for any questions. We also have Lorenzo Sanchez here for any utility-related questions.
we do have a lot of dust in Roswell, New Mexico. So the brooms at my house wear out a little faster than that, so it's understandable. Just a bigger broom, right?
Just a bigger broom, but it wears out. And all the gadgets to pick it up and suck it up, they're just giant pieces of equipment.
If there's no other questions, then we'll move on to item number 14, public comment. Do we have anybody online for any public comment? No. And anybody in the room? No. I had somebody reach out to me, and I reached out. They called me, and I called them back, and they never responded. But they wanted to talk about. I don't have the intersection. They wanted to talk about a stop sign, but we'll try to let them know that they are welcome. And certainly anybody who's listening, all of our thousands of rabid fans who are watching this most exciting committee meeting, anybody who would like to have public comment on any infrastructure related items, we certainly are here every month.
And if you have a sign issue, a striping issue, put it on the fix-it form, and staff will respond to it.
There's a fix-it form online as well, and Lewis even takes phone calls every once in a while. So it's
Yes.
fantastic. Well, if there's no other business, then
One little comment.
Sure.
I know you say I'm a slave driver. Well, we already have an item for December 28th. We'll bill coming in to you for professional services for the Cielo Grande Sports Complex. We'll also be coming to you with the award of the Lee Deming Bridge bid opening, which opens December 8th. So, infrastructure, potholes never stop growing, and we work 12 months a year.
That's all right. Any problems with 28th? No, I'll be here. So
Okay.
that sounds good to me.
Thank you, Mr.
Great.
Chairman.
Thank you. If there's no other business, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.